Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. In a bold move to streamline government operations, President-elect Donald Trump has appointed Elon Musk to lead an ambitious efficiency drive targeting federal agencies. With a particular focus on Pentagon spending, this initiative aims to foster innovative defense tech partnerships, potentially reshaping the landscape of military technology development. While this strategy could invigorate collaborations between established defense contractors and emerging tech firms, it also raises concerns about the influence of private sector leaders in public governance. Next, President-elect Trump's cabinet selections are under intense scrutiny as nominees Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard make their case to the Senate. Hegseth, nominated for Secretary of Defense, faces allegation of past misconduct, which he denies, while Gabbard's nomination as Director of National Intelligence raises bipartisan concerns due to her previous engagement with foreign leaders. Both nominees required near unanimous Republican support for confirmation, highlighting the contentious nature of these reports. Next, turning to the financial sector, Wall Street experienced a downturn as major indexes fell from record highs. A significant factor was the 2.5% in NVIDIA stocks following China's announcement of an anti-monopoly investigation into the company. This decline impacted the S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial Average, and the NASDAQ Composite. Additionally, geopolitical tensions, mostly in Syria, have influenced the market dynamics, with oil and gold prices seeing an uptick due to the instability within the region. Now, this next story I know you guys are aware of, with Jordan Neely pretty much being set free for the death of, Daniel Penny has been set free for the death of Jordan Neely. So this has got a lot of scrutiny. This has a lot of, as you stated here in the news, New York Post, is botched because the defense the prosecutors drop the manslaughter charge in this case. So trying to get the lesser charge so Daniel Penny will see some jail time. But the jury failed to come to a non-guilty plea. And it seems like certain cases of media, and this is why I try to do very unbiased things to a certain degree, because whether you like the news story or my own rhetoric that I provide, what I notice is when people come to a new YouTube channel and they agree with the person initially, they'll subscribe. Then when they start to disagree or we having differences, and I'm not saying to me personally, I'm just saying in general, because this has happened, they will unsubscribe. I don't understand why two people who may have feelings or information about a particular story or a particular case or history, why two people can't collide with information and sometimes disagree. Disagreement actually helps you to be more intelligent, because maybe that person says something that you just felt was wrong. You didn't really think it was wrong. You felt it was wrong. You didn't have enough information. That makes you go and research. It makes you become more knowledgeable. You become more intelligent by doing certain things, having a lot of the information on hand and look at it very unbiasedly. But what I notice is certain news agencies and news media, they cater to a particular group and they use certain language and to win over the hearts and minds of the viewers who believe that this particular news agency, and I'm not referring to New York Post, has their best interest in heart as far as the information. So we're going to do compare and contrast, because I think that is very significant when it comes to this particular case. Because some people are going to look at the racial component. Some people are going to look at the threats that Jordan Neely allegedly said on the subway and how he never physically touched anyone. If anything, he broke the noise code violation in New York City. Does not call for one's death. And even though holding allegedly within the chokehold for 6 minutes with two other people assisting him, there were alleged cries stating that that's enough, let him go, he can't breathe. There were people actually stating that, but Daniel Penny and his cronies continue to do so. And some people may, well, look, he was causing a ruckus, he had a mental illness, he was black, he was homeless, he was a drain on society. But if we have a family member, or if we had a family member, maybe from a different demographic, whether it be his status or his race, will we look at it the same if it was one of our family members and someone came up behind them and choked them for 6 minutes until the very last breath left his body simply because he was loud and unruly on a subway? And some of you are probably like, yeah. If that's the society we live in, let me get to the news. So first, let's look at the clip and warning. This is a trigger warning. Some of these images may not be good for everyone to watch. So listen in. I definitely don't want to hear Al Sharpton right now. So I want you guys to think about something. Daniel Penny is either a active, from his hair, is a former Marine. So am I. I'm a former Marine. You're Marines or Army, Air Force or Navy, and you get trained in hand-to-hand combat. They also call it mixed martial arts or combatives. Now, that particular choke, and I don't want to fear anyone, but this particular choke, it's a rear naked choke. So you can apply pressure mostly in two places with a rear naked choke. One is the squeezing of his carotid, right? That large vein on blood. It's called a blood choke. So a rear naked choke can either be a blood choke or an air choke, meaning the part with your forearm meet right here, if I can clench your esophagus between my bicep and my forearm like this, I can just squeeze and that will crush on your esophagus and collapse on your trachea, and it'll be very difficult for you to breathe. Now, what seems to be initially is almost like a combination of both. I don't really have a good angle, but let's say if it was a blood choke. You mean to tell me you was cutting someone's blood off for 6 minutes? Think about that. Your blood is pumping from your brain throughout your body. You cut off blood for 6 minutes? Yes. Yes, he will pass away. You have his esophagus or squeeze between your bicep and your forearm, and it's a wind choke or air choke. Yes, someone will go away. Someone will pass away. I'm just changing out the words here on YouTube, but you guys know what I'm referring to. All right, let's move along. Now, did you guys hear what she said? That now making people uncomfortable can now get you killed. That's very important because, again, Jordan Neely never touched anyone. Now, people stated that he was threatening people, but one gentleman said when he came on the train, he said, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm homeless, or whatever the case may be. And they knew he was unsheltered. And unfortunately, a large percentage of homeless people have mental issues. Now, it's funny that we will still talk about illegal immigration and how that money should be spent on the least of us, like the homeless, but then we look down on our own homeless. And I think I have a first person perspective because my mother and I was homeless at one point. And being homeless is a very dangerous thing, especially in Washington, D.C. A single mother with a young boy. So this is when the guy give you guys a little bit perspective. This is a little bit perspective. That's all. I want to know where this guy's from. He believes that Daniel Penny did nothing wrong. I want to know where he's from. Because again, coming onto a train, being loud and obnoxious and giving empty threats, is that a crime? Or is it a noise complaint? He didn't come into someone's personal space. I believe they took the video off of the internet. Now, let me guys know if you can find it, but I believe they took the entire video when he came on the subway train. He was just standing by the door, threw down his jacket and was just acting real wild. But he never approached anyone and act like he was going to hit them. And guess what else he didn't do? We'll get to that part. I don't want Mayor Adams to start explaining about the situation. I believe the governor was right. Just because someone's loud and unruly doesn't give you the right to take their life. And I guess we're putting a low price on humans nowadays, especially those with dark color hue. I just think that we're putting a low value on human beings these days, where people are out online stating that they agree that he should be free even though he took someone's life. I wonder if it was one of your family members. I just wonder if it was one of your close friends. Like, no one makes it personal because it doesn't have to deal with them until it hits home. Then there's an issue. Then there's a problem. The crack epidemic mostly affected the Black community. Instead of assisting and supporting the Black community to get out of a crisis, they over-policed the Black community. And then in the opioid crisis, they provided clinics and support. And they went after the people who actually started the opioid crisis. But when it came to the crack epidemic, a couple of three-letter agencies that was government formulated infused the Black community with crack. Now, if you think I'm wrong, I believe you should challenge me on that in the comment section below. But don't unsubscribe because we simply disagree. Whatever happened to intelligent, opposing perspectives? I don't know. So I think that we definitely should see the difference of the same incident from someone of a lighter hue, as well as in the same city and on the same subway. I believe that is important, because a lot of times we don't have, situations that are what seem to be race related. We don't have them. We don't have enough data, so to speak, to compare and contrast. But then again, we do. But this is quite recent. I want you guys to listen in on this particular video and give me your thoughts. Because isn't it similar to the Jordan Neely situation? Let's see. All right, so this wasn't in New York, this was in California. Nonetheless, here's a white man calling what he believes Chinese, I'm gonna say Asian man, the N-word. Then he say, I'll punch you in your private part. He actually hit the man on his shoulder and his face. He also displayed aggressive tendencies when he act like he was going to hit him, then hit him. No one came to this Asian man's rescue and tackled this white man down and put him in a chokehold. But had this been more justified than the Jordan Neely? Would this situation be more justified than the Jordan Neely? Should he lose his life because he's actually threatening and he actually physically assaulted someone? And lastly, he used racial slurs. He called this guy a Chinese N-word. Then tell him after he already hit him, he'll, essentially do all these other obscene things to him, to the point where the other gentleman who was sitting beside this Asian man had to get up and move. And then if you hear in the background, there's a gentleman say, oh man, don't say the N-word or something like that. We're going to say it one more time. One more time. Yep, you see it. You Chinese N-word. So what's different here? Someone's going to make the case that, oh, well, this gentleman seems to be intoxicated. He seems drunk. Okay, Jordan Neely had mental issues. So drunk, mental issues, in that situation kind of looks like the same thing, but without the physical violence when it comes to Jordan Neely. So I'm not saying take the side of anyone. I'm just saying look at the evidence presented and then compare and contrast another situation of someone who looks differently but is more violently. That's the way I believe that we all should look at it. This is Blacklogic. Have a good evening.